Hey everyone, I'm Performance Lab coach Dr. Trey Hodge. I'm accompanied by IFBB Pro Charles Tank Dixon, who is also a sponsored athlete. Today we're going to cover a full chest routine. A lot of times with a lot of his routines, we do start with a Smith machine versus a free weight barbell press. A lot of the reasons is we can control it a little bit more. Of course, he already has a lot of mass on his frame, so we really want to focus on getting as much as we can, even the stretch part of the exercise itself. So Smith machine allows us to utilize it a little bit more efficient. So go ahead and set up for me, Charles. And I'm going to explain pretty much the way we're actually performing this movement for him. It's pretty much, it's going to be a shoulder and a half as far as grip on the bar. We are going to focus keeping his elbows out, so go ahead and lift up. And like I said, we're focusing on the chest, but keeping those elbows out, getting that stretch up top here, which is predominantly the most of the mass of the chest anyway. The major muscle is the upper part of the chest itself. And what we're focusing on is getting that full stretch coming all the way down to the chest. And as we come up though, we're focusing on going all the way up to point right before lockout. The reason behind this is we want to keep that constant tension in the chest as much as possible and also prevent any type of injury from overlocking and stuff, and which adds pressure to elbows, shoulders, so tendonitis cases can happen. So really just trying to isolate the chest as much as possible with this movement. You just give me a few more, control. There you go, control it, good. And the thing is, like I say, he wants to feel that chest the whole time being activated, okay? It's completely getting the work, the stretch out of it, the load, but there's no actual complete deloading off the chest. Good. And on this exercise, since this is our first one, I do like doing 2 warm-up sets first, acclimation sets, really hitting about a 10 to 12 rep range just to loosen up. Make sure also too, if there is any type of shoulder tightness, we'll feel it more on the warm-up sets to be able to do things if we need to help get the shoulder warmed up a little bit more. And then followed by that, we're actually doing 4 sets and we're trying to hit it between a 6 to 12 rep range on this one. Because we are controlling the speed, that's why the rep range is not going to be so high on this one. Based on how you're functionally built and even the arm length, that's the biggest thing as far as placement. I always say when it comes to any type of incline movement, of course we're focusing on with a 30 to 45 degree angle, but you also want to make sure the bar placement is going to be at least hitting about, I say, 1.5 to 2 inches below the chin, so that way you're still getting that full stretch at the upper part of the chest. A lot of times too, depending on your arm length, basically you have to kind of play with the position too, the way it's going to feel comfortable where it's isolating your chest and not over-taxing your shoulders. Sometimes if you're going too wide, of course, shoulders will have a lot more engagement than the actual chest will. All right, for our next exercise, we are going to perform a fly movement. Here we're going to focus on, and Charles is going to perform it, we're going to focus on a little bit more of a lighter load, but we want to still keep the timer and tension training going. We want to get that full stretch like we want, and we want to actually keep the elbows a little bit more straight this time. And we're still going to keep our motion, we're keeping it high above around shoulder level. Okay, go ahead. And this one, we are going to perform 4 sets, and we're hitting 8 to 10 reps. And like I said, the reason why it's 8 to 10 reps is because, of course, we're doing a lot slower, so we're going to fatigue a lot faster. And we're focused on getting that good stretch at the bottom right here. When we're coming up, I'm not coming up all the way because I still want to keep the tension on the chest. Same thing as we were talking about in the press motion. We want to keep that constant tension as much as we can, and that's going to help fatigue us a little bit faster as well. All right, Charles, go ahead and get up. And you see he's getting a nice stretch coming up right before it kind of comes together with the dumbbell. That's our stopping point. All right, so the next exercise we're going to do after flies, I do love using bands, especially on pressing motions. I'm going to show you exactly how we do set up on the bands. It's actually different for every machine. On this one, we're focusing on the line of drive of where we're actually pushing through. So main hookup I'm going to do on this is going to be on these 2 extensions right here. So that way our line of drive is going the direction we want it to go. So I wouldn't hook it to the bottom one here. I want this direction on this side. Same thing on this one. Still hooking up to these 2 extensions parts of this machine. And then when I pull, I want to make sure we're getting enough slack out of it too. That way it's even, because of course, if there's too much resistance on one side, it's probably because it's not getting enough, a little bit slack given out of it. Hammer strength equipment allows us to really do a good band hookup and get the even flow we want on both sides. So I'm gonna have Charles perform here on this one, and we're still controlling the tension because we are using bands, so we want to control both the eccentric and concentric motions with a slight pause at the bottom, still focusing on that stretch. And pretty much on this rep range, we're hitting 8 to 12 reps. Like I said, controlling these reps, and we're gonna go for 4 sets on this one. Good. And same thing, we're getting that full stretch, but coming out right before we lock those elbows out. That way we're keeping that constant tension on the chest the whole way through. Good. Good. This one, because of the tension on these bands, we're not adding weight, because if we did, it might be almost too much loading on him. So really on this one, we're just focused on the bands. And of course, if we had lighter resistance bands, then we can potentially add a lot more weight to it. For our final exercise, I like ending with this little beauty right here. We actually do a little bit of a different variation on this one. We actually grab the actual metal post itself, and this way we actually simulate a mix between a press and a fly. And in this way, because we are changing as far as our grip and everything, we're not going to use as much weight, but we do want to still focus on the stretch on this one. So Charles, go ahead and set up. So you'll see here we're grabbing on the actual post itself, and you see how he starts off. He's almost starting off like he's in a deep fly position already. And we're focused on coming up, getting that squeeze at top, still trying to keep that where we're not locking those elbows out at the very top of it, but we're still focusing on that full stretch. There you go. And here we're actually going to do 4 sets. This one, we're going to try to push the envelope and go about 10 to 15 reps, 15 being the goal, but if we get 10, we're fine. After all the previous 3 exercises, we're going to fatigue a little faster, so we're probably going to hit 10 more likely at this point. This one is not necessarily just being better, but for us, it's a different variation of this, and it allows us, like I said, to get a much more of a stretch out of it. It kind of puts us in that fly position, but we're able to control it because we're not doing like free weight like a dumbbell. So we're able to control it, so it's still keeping our shoulders from being taxed and or over fatigued in this as well. All right, guys, there you have it. We completed 4 chest movements. We started off with the Smith machine press. After that was the dumbbell fly, keeping the dumbbells fairly high up on the chest, but we're going light because we're actually keeping our elbows more of a locked position. Then we follow up with the band movement on the hamstring, showing the band placement, as well as showing, still focusing on keeping control, keeping attention on that. And then follow up our last one, which is something very different, but we're actually doing a low pec hammer. And the hand placement was going to be on the metal frame part, so we're actually focused on even a little bit more of a deeper stretch, almost like a press fly movement. And that'll actually be 16 sets to complete the chest workout we did.